Welcome, everyone, to episode 22 of Dial the Gate. My name is David Reed. Thank you for being with me. For those of you stateside, hope you had a good Turkey Day this past weekend. And for those of you everywhere else, I hope that you're doing well and ready to get into this holiday season, whatever shape it's going to be. It's going to be interesting, but you know what? We're going to be getting through this together. I have Julie McNiven, who played Ginn in Stargate Universe, with us this particular episode. But before we bring her in, I've still been away. So before we bring her in, I want to let you know, I'm getting used to get back at the controls again. I want to let you know that after Julie, we have Stargate Universe artwork that we are going to be showing you in the feed. And I'll also be making the guest announcements for next week. For our interview with Julie, I will be asking her questions. Our moderators are standing by in the YouTube live chat to take your questions for her throughout the show. And I will be asking those later on in the episode. And before we bring in Julie, I'd just like to ask you, if you like Stargate and want to see more content like this on YouTube, it would mean a great deal if you click the like button. It really makes a difference with YouTube's algorithm and will definitely help the show grow its audience. And please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend. If you want to get notified about future episodes, click the subscribe icon. Giving the bell icon a click will notify you the moment a new video drops, and you'll get my notifications of any last-minute guest changes. This is key if you plan on watching live. All right. Julie McNiven, welcome.
Hi. Wow, I feel like I just did this.
How are you?
Time is trippy in these COVID times.
Yeah. Well, it's a Stargate, so it makes sense. So it's a Stargate interview.
Yes. I'm doing well, well as can be. We're just trying to stay positive here and trying to keep in mind that this is all temporary. And
have you...
soon we can hug our friends. Very
I know.
soon.
Air hugging sucks. You know, I'm a big hugger, so
yeah.
It's like this has been a really hard year for me for that, particularly because I really need that physical connection.
Yeah, me too. It's important.
Have you worked since the lockdown earlier this year?
No, my last gig actually was the first weekend in March. It was about a week before we got locked down here in Los Angeles. I had a flight to do an NDA thing up in Seattle. And I was like, Seattle. That was where our first outbreak was in America. And I was like, I don't know if I should be, okay. I mean, I have a job, I go do it.
So
but at that point you just didn't know anything really, except that there was this virus. Like you just didn't know the details of how bad it was or whatever. So I flew up there and I was actually in a seat next to Dr. Sanjay Gupta from CNN. And I was like, okay.
Heading that
way. All right,
way.
he's going to Seattle. And then I didn't probably watch enough CNN to know exactly. I knew he was like a health guy from CNN. I didn't know exactly who he was. After the virus started, I was like, oh no, I know exactly who you are. Like, because I've seen you enough on CNN. But at that point, like someone stopped and said, oh, hi. Or are you heading up to the stuff happening in Seattle? He's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And then it turns out my hotel up there was like less than a mile away from this nursing home that the outbreak was at. And I was like, cool. And I didn't touch anyone there. I didn't like the door I was already like spraying the door handles and, just being really careful. And that was my last gig. And then the next week, Friday the 13th, I had a sushi date with David Blue. And I got to the restaurant. Some woman held the door for me with her arm, like, with her body. So I didn't have to touch it. And I sat down and I was like, David, I was like really close to buying tickets to New Zealand this morning. Like we just want to get out. My husband's from New Zealand. That was why the New Zealand, and I was like, he was like, no, this is crazy. This is not as big as it's, you're overreacting. And I was like, no, it's going to be big. We got to get to New Zealand. Like we got to go. We didn't, obviously, but we should have. Because they have a very, they're an island. It's a lot different, but
It's a
they're working
completely
down
different
there.
situation in terms of population and everything else. It's
Totally.
So.
But they also have a very skilled government. They did a really good job. They set everything up that needed to be set up, and they've been very successful. So since then, I just keep an eye on New Zealand as my would have, could have, but didn't.
And your husband saw his family there?
Oh yeah, and we've we've been in touch with them.
Of course, yeah.
They're normal life down there, and TV and movie shows have already gone back into production there a while back. So basically everything I'm writing now, I'm like, oh, and this one also takes place in New Zealand. Oh, hey, and this one used to take place in America, but now it takes place in New Zealand.
Wow.
So I'm like, you know what? Why not? Let's just see if we can do it there.
Are you relocating? Are you planning on relocating?
No. I mean, no, it's kind of a daydream, but I'm also like, why not? Why not make something take place? Why does it have to take place in California or New England or whatever? It can take place anywhere. It's your, those things can also change, you can,
of course, absolutely.
At last draft totally changed the location, but it's been kind of fun to figure out ways to be creative in that sense.
The longer that this goes on, more and more productions are having to wake up to additional options. So, I mean, Vancouver and Toronto, have been filming, I forget how long now. It's been a while. So they have to make it work how they can.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Julie, tell me a little bit about yourself before we really get into the thick of Stargate and your career and everything else. Where are you from, and who were you as a young person?
I'm originally from Massachusetts. I grew up in Amherst, Mass, which is in the Pioneer Valley, surrounded by some very progressive, creative towns, 5-college area. So there was a lot of opportunities there for extracurricular activities. I did tons of sports growing up. You'd never know, but I used to be really strong. I swam most of my childhood. I did gymnastics. I did softball, soccer. And then it was about 8th grade that I did the town musical, Oliver, and I played the Rose Seller. She wasn't a big, she came out in the second act and sang a solo, and that was pretty much it. I was in the chorus, but I was like, I think at that point I had already decided I wanted to be on Broadway. That was what I wanted to do. But it wasn't until 8th grade that I was like, okay, I need to stop doing all the sports. I need to pick up 5 dance classes a week. I need to train my voice. So I just totally shifted my energies from sports over to how can I prepare myself for, I always knew I wanted to go to college. How can I prepare myself for a musical theater degree? Right. And, of course my parents have always been very supportive, and my dad always jokes that I made it onto the varsity swim team as a 7th grader. And the coach was like, she could get a scholarship for this. And my dad's like, cool. And then the next year I just dropped all my sports, most of them, and just started doing musicals and training and dancing and doing all that. And then the next shift probably didn't come till college, where I would go to New York several times a year and just do open calls or any auditions I could find. I would do them. And it was when I remember sitting outside of an audition room and listening to the girls before me go. And I was kind of like, I could train every day with the most amazing teachers, and my voice will never sound like that. And it wasn't me being negative. It was me being a realist. So my realist probably came from my mother. My realist side of me was like, okay, well, this isn't going to work. I don't want to be one of those people who has a dream and not the means to succeed in the dream. So I shifted once again. I was like, well, film and TV sounds like more realistic, which is kind of laughable now because there's nothing easy about this career either. But, you know, as a 19-year-old, I made that shift and I was like, okay. So I went and studied Shakespeare and I did some film and TV stuff early on and trained and then started booking in that. So I think I had a nice mix of my dad's dreamer mentality and my mom's realism to kind of keep my feet grounded without losing that that dream. But like, you know, dream in reality.
Well, you know, I do think it's I have a lot of friends who are particularly in the they want to be in the video game industry. Mm-hmm. And that was my first major job. Was cool. In the video game industry, starting off on Stargate Worlds, which was in production like 2007. So as a Stargate fan, I got into that in business as a consultant, but not as a video game designer. And I've had a number of friends since who have been like, this is what I want to do with my life. I'm like, guys, you don't understand how competitive this industry is. And it's unfortunate to watch some of those friends a decade later still struggling to try and just get into it. And they're like, it's not happening. So I understand where you're coming from with that point where it's like, do I want to tell myself, because Mr. Rogers told me that I can be anything that I want, to try and do that? Or do I want to look at what I am already or have a really good chance of being exceptional at and do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't blame you for that perspective at all.
No. And I think that there's good things that come out of whatever choice you make. Look, if you decide, no, this is my dream, this is what I want to do, there's nothing that's going to stop you. Like literally no friend could say, honey, I think you're really good, but you know, maybe you're better at this. No one's going to stop you if you want to do it. Because if you have that drive and that will, you will find a way to dip your toe in. And it depends on how far you can jump in. And that's really, you know, like maybe I could have been a chorus girl. Maybe it's like, you know, if I had really trained with the best teachers but I love to sing, and it's always been something that has been my first passion. Like I find so much joy in it and so much emotion. You can emote so much with a song, and I love that. And so I can do that in the car, and I can do that in the shower, and maybe a couple times on Instagram. And then, you know, that's great. I still do it.
No, absolutely. I sing too.
Yeah.
But I was told when I was younger, you could do this if you want. It's like, but it's not the thing that I think I could be best at.
Yeah.
You know? And there's nothing wrong with that.
No. Because you can also learn a lot, I think, by trying something that somewhere in your heart, you know, you're not going to be fully successful at, but you can try it and you can build tenacity and you can build confidence and strength, even if you end up not doing it forever. You know, there's always good things that can come from it, I think.
Yeah, there are practical skills that you pull from it. And one of the common things that I have fans ask me to ask the talent when more frequently than not is what advice would you have given your younger self, and then perhaps me as a result, you know, someone who is trying to get into that industry, not necessarily in acting, but one form or another, based on your personal life experiences. What would you have liked to have known as an adult that you as an adult know now, who could have told someone who was trying to get into the industry?
I mean, you know, sometimes I joke that it's not totally a joke, it's partly real, that like when these young, 15, 16, 17-year-olds ask me the advice for getting into the business, and I'm like, well, is there anything else that you are equal to or more passionate about? Is there? Oh, there is. Okay, then do that. Do that. And it's not, a
well, it's almost like you're telegraphing that there's an 18-wheeler heading towards you if you don't get out of the way.
And the thing is, if there's not something that you're more or equal to in passion, then there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to change your mind. And there's not one path to do this. You have to forge your own path. And I always suggest to people, don't try to do someone else's path. It won't work because you're not that person. I use the analogy of like, look, everyone and their sibling or friend is lining up at the front door, right, to get into this business.
Yeah.
Don't go in the front door. Find a window, break in the back, whatever it is, without being illegal. Get in a different way. You have to change the way you're thinking if you want to even have a chance at getting into this business. You can't wait in line. No one, the thing is, no one's answering the front door.
Especially not right now.
And mostly never, because most of the people that get in have a connection. My cousin, my friend, my uncle, my uncle's friend, like whatever it is, there's always someone that gets in before you. So you can't just wait in line. You need to figure out a way to get in. I ask people, make a Venn diagram, put 5 people in that you have a goal to have a meeting with, or that you want to send your footage to, or whatever it is, and just focus on those 5 people. See how you can get your Venn diagram, your circle, closer to their circle, instead of just doing a mass mailing or going to an open call, where I could go to an open call right now and have a resume like I have and not get noticed at all. That's not how it works. It's just not. So I think that I don't think anything or anyone could have stopped me. I was very goal oriented, and every single day I woke up and I did things for my career, little things, little steps. I've tried to figure out new ways to get to this door, and used any and every resource I had to do it.
You're not waiting for lightning to strike.
No. And I think, the tricky part is, as your career goes on, and then, you have agents now, you don't need to do all that footwork, but then you feel like you're just waiting. So you can't just wait, right? I mentioned David Blue. So David and I have been writing together for 3 or 4 years, maybe, I don't know, a while. And it was like, you know what, we can't just wait. And whether anything comes of these projects or not, it doesn't matter. It's that we have a creative need that we have to express, and we have to keep going, So I am at an age in Hollywood where not as many people are interested in a late 30s, early 40s character right now, or pretty much ever. If you were already famous before you hit this age, you're probably fine. But it's a very difficult age to continue to work in, which is why you see a lot of 40-year-olds just go, and then maybe come back when they're older, or maybe not. Mm-hmm. So it was like
pursue other interests, or have a family, or then come back,
and then because and it sucks, because I think that there's worthy stories to tell of women who are starting to age. It's not the end of the world. We don't all have to get Botoxed, and whatever I don't do it. I don't have any problem with people doing it. I have a problem with Hollywood thinking that there's no interesting stories to tell of a woman who's seen things and who's starting to become an older woman. It's that's where my problem lies. So
do you see that starting to pivot a little bit compared to where we were decades ago?
I do, but it's still a very small market. So so I'm still working on my own work, creating my own projects, be letting myself tap into my creative power so that I can feel good and feel worthy and feel like I'm doing something.
There's something to be said for expressing yourself in whatever form that it is. And I don't think it's necessarily for, oh, look at me. Oh, give me praise. Oh, I've got praise now. Now I have self-worth. Now I can move forward. It's even in like the creation of this show, just the creation of content, whatever form it is, either for your personal enrichment or for someone else. There's something really to be said for that in the human experience, and it's a powerful thing. And it's something that all of us do in one form or another, whatever industry we happen to be in.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
Julie, who are your heroes? I think you brought up your mom a little bit in terms of your realistic look at what's expected, in your journey. Who are some others, personally, professionally? Who encapsulates that Venn diagram of heroes surrounding you?
So I don't know if it's the Libra in me, not wanting favorites. I've literally never, even if my son is like, what's your favorite food? I'm like, I cannot commit to one. That would just not be fair. I've never been one to have like one person. I think like I said from my mom, I pull her realism. From my dad, he's a dreamer. I pull his dream. I think that I can see different qualities in lots of people I've worked with, people, that I haven't worked with, that like, I can't say that there's one or a few. It's not how I learn. It's just not how I work. So I can't really answer that question, but I think that it's important to see qualities that you admire and not necessarily try to copy, but try to see how it works with you.
So more unconsciously digested, I would suspect.
I think so.
Like more dense composite than you would normally expect.
It's partly like, look, all the sayings, like it's whoever you hang out with, whoever your friends are, that's the energy of your friends. You can, depending on your personality, you can either be a sponge and take it in, either unconsciously or subconsciously, or if you have friends that aren't always this positive, let's figure it out kind of mentality, then you have to learn how to put that block so that you are there to support them, but not there to take their energy and have it drop you, right?
Pull you down.
So I think, and I think that, I don't think it's like, I think that's a good quality to have also, because those friends need you to be there and not take their energy, but listen to their energy. Just like, if you have a group or a person that's extremely forward thinking and moving and energetic, every single person has a kind of overload moment, right? So then you also can put up your cool, I'm here for you, but you're a lot right now, I love you, so there's like, I think you, depending on who you're with and how your blocking or reflecting skills are, I think, I don't know if this is making any sense, but it's about taking in energy or listening to energy.
No.
I can relate it to like if I was an empath or something, and I'm not, but if I was, you see those shows about mediums who are like, but you have to put your wall up. You can't be there for every ghost. So it's so at some point you gotta say, doors closed, I'll be back.
Well, some of us really mirror like completely everyone around us, and some of us are completely shut off from that. So it really comes down to the person in terms of what your energy is, or whatever you feel about whatever EM signal that you are giving off into the universe. and
Yeah.
those people that are around you and who are around you, and how they derive life from those who are in their circle as well, because we're all giving and taking from each other constantly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's true. Birds of a feather flock together, and you are identified by who you are most surrounded with. So it's really important to be aware of that, because we're all being watched,
Exactly.
and we're all being constantly considered. So
Yeah. And sometimes energies are, you lose control of what you're taking in and what you're giving out. And you need to kind of be checked on that, I think.
yeah.
So
Do you have a role that stands out among the others as one of the more difficult or unexpected but rewarding experiences of your life?
I think that, I find every role I've played has been rewarding. But I think there's one in particular that allowed me to kind of heal, or not, it made me heal a little bit, or just release some of my grief. So I did this movie called Black Hearted Killer. It aired on Lifetime last year sometime, or no, maybe it was. Yeah, maybe it was
TV
February.
movie this year. Yeah,
It's a TV. So it was recently. I shot it last November.
Playing a character named Julie.
Yes, that was just coincidence. But I was a woman who had lost her daughter in a car accident, and it was literally like it was one of those movies we shot in like, God, I think it was like 13 days. It was a really quick shoot. Really, you just know your stuff. A few takes on each angle, and we move on. And I think there were like 2 out of the 13 days that I wasn't doing scenes where I had to cry. And totally. But I think that oddly, I kind of went into the experience being like, I'm just gonna kind of, I knew the group I was shooting with. I knew everyone. I trusted everyone. So it wasn't uncomfortable at all. I let myself just really, truly feel all of my grief about my brother's passing. And I just let that really, it's been several years. So it was kind of in a safe place where I knew it wasn't gonna pull me down. Like after cut, I was okay. Right. I may have been full blown sobbing, but take a deep breath and I'm okay. And it's, it's far enough away from the actual incident that, that I could allow myself to do that.
Was it a sudden loss?
No, it was a slow,
prolonged,
horrible.
Oh my God. Yeah.
16 month loss.
So you had a lot of emotional range to tap into from a prolonged experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, I had allowed myself to go there for several years, in auditions or whatever. But this was the first like actual 2-week experience, right? Where I was like, okay, here we go. And I kind of, I think it was a really beautiful experience. I am tearing up thinking about it. I think there's a very few jobs in this world where you're allowed to, like, it's hard to go into like a data entry job and be like, these 2 weeks I'm just going to be crying about my brother. Like, you can't do that. It's not acceptable, and it doesn't actually help you.
Yeah, especially with whatever work you're doing in the data entry.
Exactly. It's not, you can't I can't think of another. I mean, I suppose a visual artist could do it, a painter, a singer.
Still art.
You can fully express your grief in that way. And I feel really lucky that I was able to have this role, and that I felt safe enough to just kind of not know what was going to happen, but know that I was going to be safe. So it was okay. And I could just allow it. And it was definitely, a really good experience.
Cathartic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a couple of things, I think. I think it has a lot to do with the people that you are surrounded with in a particular project. Do I have the freedom to go there? But also the tragedies that we experience are things that can either destroy us or help us create a more extraordinary us in spite of the horrible things that we deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true.
And the fact that you are in an industry that allows you to tap into that and exorcise those darker aspects of the things that you've dealt with, and come away with like, you know what, I went there and I was able to make a product or contribute to a work of art that I'm satisfied with because I had those life experiences in spite of those life experiences.
Exactly.
That's really something.
It's I feel really lucky that I was able to have that role, and to I can't say that grief is a finite. It's not. There's not like a mass of grief inside of me that I have to let out. It's a constant entity that will surprise you, and that. I saw a picture of my nephew a few weeks ago, and I just was like, oh my God, every day he looks more and more like my brother. And I put my phone down and I just had a quick cry. I was like, okay, but cool. He looks like my brother. Cool.
This is your brother's son?
Yeah.
So your brother has a legacy. That's good.
Yeah. And so, you can, oh, hello. My son is peeking in the room. So Taz, why don't you stay out there? Can you close? Thank you. He just can't help it. Yeah. Anyway, I think that the opportunity to release, it's like the constantly boiling kettle. Mm-hmm. You gotta let out the air in order for it not to explode.
Yeah. We don't all experience grief and tragic circumstances in the same way, but we ignore those feelings to our peril. And to be able to deal with them in their proper context and in a way that contributes to something else positively is a good thing. So
yeah.
Julie, did you see the Stargate feature film before, or SG-1 or Atlantis before joining Stargate Universe?
I did, but I wasn't a regular watcher. So I think I was in, when did the Stargate start? Like what year was it?
The TV series started in 97.
Okay. So I was in high school, and my dad is a sci-fi nerd, just like me. He watched it. And so I remember, and I didn't really watch a lot of TV in high school or college, because really, who had time?
Right.
I was too busy trying to, get my degree. So I definitely remember seeing several episodes. But same with, Next Generation, Star Trek. I saw a bunch of them, but I wasn't actively viewing in the same way that my dad was watching. And so when I got the audition for SGU, there was a monologue. I think my whole audition was the monologue that I say to Ming Na. When I'm like saying what's going to happen now, are you going to keep us all locked up? That whole monologue in one of my first episodes. And I talk about the Goa'ulds, and I looked at the page and I was like, oh God, I need to call my dad. I don't know what I'm talking about. And so I called my dad and I was like, okay, so how do I say this? And who are they? And why do I not like them? And what?
Right.
So he gave me the rundown. And so it was really fun and special that, I got to be on this show that he had watched all the way through and was already a big fan of. So I don't remember the question. What was the question?
So how aware were you of Stargate?
How aware?
Yeah.
So that's how I was aware.
Okay, through
my
your dad.
My dad. And that's pretty much it.
Did he enjoy Universe?
He did.
Okay.
He did. He watched before. I think I had watched some episodes before I even auditioned. And I think he had watched all of them.
Okay.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and I know it's very different.
It is very different.
It's a different tone than the other Stargate. So I feel like I remember fans having a hard time adjusting to the tone. And I think it's too bad because I think that it got canceled too quickly.
Way too prematurely.
Way too quickly. I mean, and that happens all the time with shows, but it's too bad because it already has such a gigantic built-in fan base that if you just give them another year, they could prove that, it's like, it's just watching the Dylan documentary from like, I don't know, a long time ago. And everyone's so pissed at him when he starts singing anything other than folk. But eventually they're like, oh no, you're still really cool. We think you're great. But it just took them some time because you have to get over your own idea of what you want it to be and just enjoy what's in front of you and enjoy that it still has the magic of Stargate. It's just a different point of view or a different experience. So
I don't blame fans for having trouble digesting it. I blame fans for being so loyal to previous versions of the show that they weren't willing to give this one a chance.
Which is similar to the Dylan thing. It's like they were so loyal to him being this folk god that like, how could they were just mad. They were yelling at him. They were booing him. And I'm going, this is Bob Dylan. You're booing him. And then like 6 months later, you're going to be like, let's listen to that new Bob Dylan record. Because
but you're an artist.
Good.
You understand what he's trying to achieve in himself. It's like he's got to. I mean, some people are perfectly fine. You can't do the same
thing all
Some
the time.
can, but not everyone can. Yeah. So and it's you have to grow. And the funny thing is, I've lost count of the number of people I've met who are discovering the show, the franchise now, and they're like, I don't get what the problem is. Because SGU is essentially, I mean, if it were made now, it would have been 4 seasons of 10 episodes each, and people would have thought it was the best thing since sliced bread.
Right.
Look at Better Call Saul. It unpacks very slowly, and people love this stuff now. So
I know it was like really ahead of its time.
Yes.
Oh well.
So who was Ginn in that breakdown? So your dad told you that she had been.
God,
probably a slave. And the Lucian Alliance.
The Lucian Alliance. We I think it was like, honestly, I can't remember.
That's okay.
I watched my episodes since they aired. But the Lucian Alliance, didn't we boarded Destiny kind of illegally, right? And then but it was out of our, it's like you take a desperate situation with an egotistical leader, and you kind of get forced into these situations. And for Ginn, I think it was like she was really skilled at whatever she did at that podium.
The apple core.
Yep. Look at me. Do I look like I know what I'm doing? And then and then I remember I saved Blue Diamond Phillips and killed that really bad guy. And then we were slowly friends. Absolutely. That's what I remember. I don't remember very much.
No, it's okay. Do you remember Rhona Mitra?
I never worked with her because she came on at the end of season 1, right?
Yes.
Didn't they board at the end of season 1? I wasn't introduced until beginning of season 2.
Yeah. That's a fair
So,
point.
and I think they ended up killing her at the. They
Yes,
didn't
Lou
show it.
Diamond Phillips
I don't think they.
and Rhona Mitra have a shootout, and they both
Oh,
go down, and then it was left hanging at the
got
end of
it.
season one who
Who
survived,
won?
because they were debating whether or not to bring her back, and they chose
Oh, right.
not to.
Yes.
So then they brought in, I'm trying to remember if Simeon in Stargate, if he was in
If he was in the, I don't think so. I
season
think
one. It's been so long since I've seen it.
Oh, Simeon.
Right. Fantastic. Robert, is it Robert?
He's Robert Knepper.
Knepper.
He's great.
Fantastic
He's
actor.
really good.
Oh, man.
I know. Yeah, he's really good. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he was in the, I think that they kind of, maybe I'm wrong, but, or maybe, I wonder if the guy that I ended up killing in season 2, the beginning of season 2, was he introduced with Rhona at the end of season 1?
I'm trying to see right now. This is
they
so
probably,
professional of me.
you know, they could have
Pull this
used
on the
that
fly.
the opportunity of the season break to be like, all right, well, who are going to be our Lucian Alliance regulars? You know, I think they had that break to kind of hash that out.
Knepper wasn't introduced until season 2, so I think that he.
And I think Mike Dopud. Yeah, he's great too.
Fantastic actor.
Yeah, I think we all came on in season 2.
What was the costume like?
I remember. Okay, this is my favorite costume related story. It was basically head to toe leather. I think I was vegan at the time, and the costume designer was so lovely and had me. Actually, I don't think I wore. There was no fake leather, but she allowed me to they resized someone else's pants or outfit. So most of my outfit was reused rather than made from new leather. And I thought that was really nice to do, because I cared about that. And I think there's one scene of, I don't remember. I think it's me, David, Elise, maybe Brian in the commissary, right? Where we're sitting at the table and we're drinking and eating and stuff. And at the very end of the scene, I think, and of course, once you start doing an action on take 1, you have to keep doing the same thing, right? So you have to match it up. And so it was was reaching, you can't see me, I was reaching for my cup and I took it in to sip. And so the scene would end and it would be complete silence. And then you hear,
the leather creaking?
It was just one of those things, you couldn't stop it, and then you can't stop laughing, and
because you're expecting it every
single time, and then you're just waiting for it. You're we'll try not to do it this time, but I can't help it, so you know. Yeah, that's probably my biggest memory of the costume, was how creaky it was when it was very quiet on set.
You let in on a little bit of the fact that your character was very technical oriented. And those characters have a very specific place in Stargate because they move the plot forward with their dialogue. You are looking at a screen that is giving out information in Ancient, which is just a font transposition, and having to say that the star is going to explode, or, the ship is not wanting to go back into hyperspace or whatever. Was the dialogue tough?
Oh, yeah. Anytime I have, and I do remember in particular, I haven't gone back and watched it to remember which one was the worst, the hardest. But I am very good at, I'm a very quick memorizer.
Well, that's good in your profession. That's important.
It definitely helped, because it's you have to just memorize these words that you don't really know what they mean. But once they're in my head, then I was able to kind of discover more of their meaning. But I swear I remember even being on set going, and then I think I kept my sides either under, right near me, so that I could look at them right before, because it's just really hard to do dialogue that it would be hard to play a physicist or a surgeon, right? Because you're just all these sentences that are like kind of like memorizing another language. You don't, it's hard to say them with meaning because they're, you know,
it's
foreign.
not random, but you have to take the context of the story in order to decrypt what they're talking about, because we're dealing with alien technology and the alien technology has its own function, but we have to get somewhere in the story with it.
Yeah. So it was definitely challenging, but, I mean, I liked playing the nerd. I like those techie girls. I mean, I like the nerdy characters. I want to do more of that. I'm ready for more.
I one of my favorite lines of Ginn's, and I put it at the beginning of each show. I put a character's quote, and it's something along the lines of, you know, I trust numbers more than anything because numbers don't lie. You know, that speaks to a lot of what that character was, because as a member of the Lucian Alliance, and I can tell you a little bit of that backstory, is they rose up when the Goa'uld were defeated across the galaxy. And so the criminals, the most dodgy underworld elements of the galaxy banded together. And so she was kind of, as I would imagine, swept along with that.
Yeah.
And her utility as a scientist became very advantageous. But she had, I would imagine, very little power outside of that. So, you know, to be in a position across the universe where she was then cut off from the rest of that clan that she was with, and with people that she could perhaps make a life with, like with Eli, gave her, I mean, I suspect, a fair amount of power. Yeah. It's like, now I'm in a place where I can start forming my own destiny. Pardon the pun.
Oh, there you go. Yes. Yeah. I mean, and the trouble she's seen and experienced coming with her into this new possible ship life is, it makes it even more important to kind of have some roots with nice people.
Before we get specifically to David, who was, and obviously still sounds like still a very important part of your life.
Yeah.
The biggest relationship for Ginn on that show was with him. Any of the other cast in particular? You mentioned that long scene of dialogue with Ming when Camille is kind of interviewing the Lucian Alliance just to see who's trustworthy and who may have use as a member of the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think my, in terms of my relationship with the actors now, or just the experience then, what are you?
Who did you enjoy working off of?
Oh
the
gosh,
most? I apologize for being more
no,
specific.
it's okay. I mean, honestly, there was not a bad cat in the bunch. Everyone was really fun to work with, kind, and made me feel right at home. Obviously, more of my stuff tended to be, you know, once they established me as, you know, I'm going to be on the ship now. I'm going to try to be part of this group. My, you know, Ginn's attraction to Eli, both brain and body, it was, you know, that's who I did most of my acting with. So I spent more time with him. But like I said, everyone, I mean, I really, really enjoyed doing when Chloe and Ginn and Dr.
Rush?
Is that Catherine? Catherine played that role.
Oh, you're talking
when we did
star.
like the triple, like we were all in the same outfit,
yes.
and the stone.
Oh,
I sound like such a pro. I'm such an SGU pro. The
is
stone
that
the
the quadriplegic from Earth?
Yeah.
Dr. Mandy. No, it's not her.
No.
Who else? Okay.
Didn't she had a relationship with Rush? Didn't she?
Again?
No.
The actress.
Catherine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Her. What was her name? It's been so long since I've watched this.
I know.
Mandy something. She was the quadriplegic scientist from Earth, and she was key in your Amanda Perry. Yes, that actress was Kathleen Monroe.
Kathleen. Okay.
Yes.
My cat wants to get out. Hold on 1 second.
Okay. That's fine.
There you go. Go on.
Oh, that's too funny. Cats, man. Cat taken care of?
Cat's taken care of, yes.
What kind of a cat is it?
Old. No, he's he's like 14 now. It's my first baby. I have like a little heating pad on the bed because basically his life now is like sleep and eat. Like all he wants to do is eat. And I can't overfeed him because he's already old and that just is dangerous. So I have a little heating pad that I put him on in the morning so that he can like chill. And I'm spoiling him.
When they get up there, man, absolutely. Yeah, Kathleen Monroe played Dr. Amanda Perry. She was the quadriplegic.
She was quadriplegic. Okay.
Yeah. And I wanted to get to that. Playing
that triple. Yeah. That was really fun because one thing I was really impressed. And I mean, they've been on other shows where they have two cameras shooting at the same time, but there was something unique about SGU where they were always two cameras and they were never still. Like they were always handheld. No, maybe they weren't always, but from my memory of it, it's just these guys were either on stools or just standing and just moving around and make it kind of gave you that natural. And that was another thing that was different. Was that different than the way Stargate Universe? Stargate. The
others were, yes.
The others
were wanting to be more handheld,
more still, right?
Yeah.
So
they were going with a Firefly direction,
right? And it gives you, a more intimate feeling. You feel more like you're in the room with the actors. I think it kind of brings you in the scene a little bit more, that style. And I was just really impressed with how, because they were so mobile, we could kind of get away with sliding in and knowing exactly when to move away and the other actor would come in. It was like a big old dance. It was fun.
Not just thematically, but in terms of production quality, and technique, the SG was very different. I remember being on set and they were talking about even lighting. Like we would normally like light a scene in a certain way, and now in this case, we're not. Now that we're on SGU, this is a murky ship, and there are going to be some places that are just going to be underlit, and we're going to play them like it's an underlit location. And so there were a lot of techniques that were used in that show that were not standard. Yeah. So at the time, what was it like being strapped down into a chair and experiencing what it was like to be Amanda Perry back on Earth, to be in a position where you're in a quadriplegic's body?
You're going to laugh because I don't remember shooting that.
Okay.
I have no memory. Literally, was that in the chair in the
That's not in the Destiny chair. She uses a stone and connects back to Earth, and then she finds herself in the body of a woman who can't move. And that was Amanda Perry on Earth. Okay.
Don't remember shooting that at all.
At least it wasn't a traumatic experience.
No, I guess it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to I remember there's a photo of me in Rush's chair.
Yes.
From one of the scenes, and I was thinking, oh, was it that? But that's only because I've seen that. That picture will come up on IMDb or whatever, and so I'll see that. But no, this happens a lot though, where there will be scenes or moments that have been significant and moving to people, and they'll be like, what was that like? And I'll be like, I'm sure it was great. I have no idea. I don't know.
You did the work on the day, and then you moved on. I did it. That's. I mean,
that's the life of the actor.
In many cases.
I mean, there are always, like I said, talking about the black-hearted killer role. There's always going to be those roles that are going to feel way more significant than others. But ask me to tell you about the scene in that movie where blah 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 blah. And all I remember is that every day I cried and it felt good. Mean, really, it's just you can't take everything with you.
That's fair.
So,
absolutely. It was in that state that Ginn died, because Amanda Perry was in Ginn's body on Destiny when Robert Knepper's character Simeon comes in.
Yes, and
kills her.
I do remember shooting the eyes open thing. That was really hard.
You're on the floor and you're dead.
Yes. And I remember being upset because, like,
You're brand new in the show.
I know, I was kind of like new on the show, and I was like, why do you have to kill me? Like, it's not fair. I just died on another show. Like, I just want to be alive.
Did you get a call from Brad and
right
Rob?
now?
No,
Oh.
did you get a call from production?
Oh, no, but I did speak to them about it early. I think in one of the first few episodes, I was talking to Joe, and he told me what was going to happen. So it wasn't,
A shock.
Yeah, no, I knew it was happening. I didn't know that they were going to bring me back until they did.
You didn't?
I didn't. I mean, I didn't. When I was booked, it was for 6 episodes.
Got it.
And then, they realized they could pull me back as a, hologram or consciousness or whatever.
Whatever it was.
Whatever I still am somewhere up in Destiny. And that's, yeah. And so those were extra, like, yay, I get to come back and be kind of alive. How
did you play that? Were you instructed to play that as if, you're not anything in terms of like a higher form. You're just Ginn, and as a non-physical presence.
So I think,
right?
yeah, exactly. And I think it was, story-wise, I think it really was used to, maybe I'm wrong, but like it lengthened the broken hardness of Eli, right? So now she's back, but you can't
even touch her.
You can't touch her. You can talk to her. And so, like, that's cool, but is that enough?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe not. I mean, maybe, but maybe not. And so I think I was used, I fortunately had the opportunity to be used in that sense to come back and kind of just grind that heartbreak a little more for him, story-wise. So, I think that's what it was. It was like, you are Ginn, you are everything you always were, except you can't touch and you can't feel physical contact. And how much will you change by not getting that? How much can you handle?
I remember that episode very vividly. It's called Hope. And we had been beaten over the head so much over the course of that show by such harrowing situations, being clear across the universe, cut off from all of our families and everything else that's important. And we had lost Amanda Perry and we had lost Ginn in one blow. And then a few episodes later, we find out that their consciousnesses still exist and persist in some form. And as a huge fan of that series, it is one of the greater unsolved mysteries, in my opinion, about where they were going to go with that and what they had in mind. Because these personalities were inside the ship and they were drawing power from the ship. That's why they had to be shut off at the end.
Right. And I think that it would have been interesting to see in, a new season how the temptation of them being right there for both Rush and for Eli.
Both people they love.
Even if it's just as a voice in the tabletop, like if it is just a voice, it's their love. It's, that would have been interesting to see for sure. And what lengths they would have gone to, what crazy things they would have done to create a new robot body and import that voice into the body, or like what would these scientists
that wasn't a thing, was it?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, ask Brad. I have no idea. But I mean, I probably went there because I'm like, I want to go back on the show. So
it's sci-fi. You can do anything.
How can I go back on the show? Well, I could be a robot body and then my consciousness could be downloaded into my body. It's really easy.
They'd already done it in Stargate. Are you kidding me?
Right?
Replicators.
So it's like, whatever. No big. But I don't know how, they would have done it, seeing as the show didn't star Ginn. I just want to be back. So it's my want comes from something else. But
so when you did play that, when like, okay, so my consciousness persists somewhere, did you go up to them and ask them, what's next? Did you say, is
No.
this it for me? Am I going offline for good? Or do you have aspirations to bring me
feel
back
like-
again?
I feel like most actors, once we're killed off a show multiple times, we're like, okay, all right, you don't want us here anymore. Got it. Or you like killing me. I don't know, either one. Well, there's a fine line you have to ride between showing your interest in returning and speaking freely with the producers and writers about that stuff. I think they know to this day that of course I would want to come back.
Right.
It's, I don't think that was needed to be expressed. I needed to express that, but, you just got to be careful about how much I knew that I wanted to come back, but I knew that I wasn't a main character. Right. So you just have to kind of just hope.
You're facilitating a larger story.
Exactly. So. And you have to know that. So your ego knows you're not here to, be the title card. You are here to help Eli's story. That was why I was there. I pushed his story along to help him be who he was in the final episode. And I think that's important to know as a guest player.
Yeah. What's your purpose? What's your function?
What's your purpose? What's your function? Well, it's not usually just to be you. It's usually to move their story along.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What was it like hearing about the cancellation? Did you hear it from David? Did you hear it from, did you read about it online?
I'm guessing I heard it from David, but I don't really remember, to be honest. And I know that sounds like, why would I not remember that? But I think that it's like, I think part of my mentality in this business is to shoot it and forget it, because it's too heartbreaking to hold on to the thought. I, for instance, I'm on a show right now. I don't know, been dead since the beginning, once again, but a show called Doom Patrol, and it's been amazing. The show is just like, I fucking love it. It's such a wonderful show. But like I said, I've been dead the whole time. And so that it's not healthy for me to really put too much hope in me coming back, because I'm dead and I'm not a main character. So it's like, once my experience for an episode has wrapped and I haven't been offered a contract for another episode, I try my best to just have enjoyed it and to try to let it go, so that it's not, you're not aching for that job. You're not, So, I mean, it's not easy. Sometimes I find myself with that little bit of hope, and I try to just let it go. Because it's not about you. It's about the main characters, and so maybe not. You just don't know. But it's just not healthy to hold on to any hope.
No, I think you have a fair point. It's about proper contextualization, and you have to kind of compartmentalize it. Otherwise you just kill yourself.
Exactly.
You can woulda, shoulda, coulda, all of this. And it's like, at the end of the day, I have the work that I did. And that's cool.
And I'm grateful for it. And I learned from it. And I got to, with Doom Patrol, my co-star, all my scenes are with Matt Bomer, and he is like just a wonderful scene partner. Honestly, he's so great. And so I'm like, wow, well, that's one for the books. So if it happens again, awesome. And if it doesn't, like, look what I've already done with that role that, could have just been one scene, and it wasn't. So yeah,
I understand.
That's how I do compartmentalize a lot. I think you have to.
Yeah. I have fan questions for you.
Sure.
So thank you for hanging on, and thank you fans for hanging on. All right. Gate Gabber. Did you ever compete in the high school drama festival in Massachusetts, or did you only do musical theater in high school?
I did musical theater. Is he talking ACTF? It doesn't say.
It doesn't
So
say, yeah.
I know that I know because I did ACTF in college.
Okay.
But I do remember some of my college friends went and taught drama in local high schools in the area, and they did these high school drama competitions that I had never heard of. I don't think my high school, we were in Western Mass. I think a lot of Eastern Mass, maybe Central, but a lot of Eastern Mass around Boston did this high school competition, but I didn't even know about it. And yes, I mostly did musicals through high school. Started doing more straight plays in college when I was when I decided to shift my focus.
I really regret not having done the number of musicals that I could have done in high school. It's one of those things where it was like, do I go out and work and make money, or do I play? And it's one of those things, looking back, it's like, I wish I had taken more time to play. I did a little, but I didn't do nearly enough. I wanted my own money.
I know. I know.
The choices we make, right?
Yeah.
Do you think so? Let me contextualize the question. Russell Baldwin wants to know: do you think that Ginn could come out of her isolation to help Eli save the crew of the Destiny? So Brad Wright is working on a fourth Stargate series, and it will have some kind of a conclusion to the Destiny arc, from what I've been told.
Oh, that's great.
The amount of which Destinies, as far as I know, we will discover what happened at the very least.
Right. Not that the actors would be back, but that
but it's not, beyond the realm of possibility. So it could be.
Right.
Do you think that Ginn would have a part to play in that?
I think that, my memory of that last moment is just Eli all alone on the Destiny, right? Who is he going to talk to?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I definitely do. And that's not me wanting to be back. Of course, I do want to be back on the show, whatever it is, in whatever aspect I would happy to be back. But I just look at what are his options. To sit there all alone for years and years and years? No. He's going to go in to, where was I put? My consciousness was put into.
I think the core.
Right. But wasn't it put into where you're not, the trash, not the trash.
Yeah, it's like a redundant, it's like a secondary memory. Yeah.
Yes, they put it somewhere else
to be safe.
I couldn't. Right.
Yeah.
I think he's going to figure out a way to make safe contact. Absolutely, because he has nothing else to do and he misses me.
There's nothing to lose at this point, right?
Right.
So.
We'll see what Brad comes up with.
I know. I'm excited. I'm so hoping that
too.
MGM gives him the green light. They've been working on this for years.
I know.
Barry, you're a sci-fi fan. Any series or film, what series or films are your favorites from that genre?
Let's see. First thing that comes to mind, I loved, any sci-fi I will watch and I will probably enjoy it. I loved Fringe. I love this multiverse idea.
It was a bold show.
It was.
Let's erase our first 3 seasons. Why the heck not? Wow.
Right.
Jeez.
I think it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in its proper context, yeah.
So, I don't know. I loved that show. I was super happy I was only in one scene of that show, but it was such a fun character, and it was supposed to come back, but it didn't. So remember, the bug girl ended up marrying Scarly, or the Charlie from the alternate universe, and we got married because he needed. So the actor had booked, what's his name, Kirk, Ace Vito. He had booked something somewhere else. And so he wasn't there as much, but they needed a reason for him to be away. So we were on a long honeymoon, and I was like, yeah. So yeah, that was heartbreaking. But because I remember one night someone was like, you were mentioned on it again. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, you're married. What? like I didn't know any of this, but they needed a reason. So anyway, love that one. Gosh, I don't know. Give me some ideas, because I'm also the kind of person.
Firefly.
Yes. Oh God, yes. Battlestar. Love Battlestar Galactica. Absolutely loved it. I'm actually due for a rewatch. I haven't seen it in
I haven't seen it since it aired, and it's one of my top 5. So I go back and I watch scenes from it. I have it on my hard drive. But man, what a good show.
So good.
So there was a time when Stargate, SG-1, Atlantis, and Battlestar were all on one night, and it was called Sci-Friday. That was really the major launch of Sci-Friday, and for years people talked about that lineup, how solid that lineup was, all those 3 shows.
Yeah.
It was terrific.
Yeah, awesome.
That dude right there. Question for Julie. Do you know of any behind-the-scenes plans for Ginn that we didn't get to see on screen? Maybe even instances where you yourself were able to influence or change something from the scripts. Was there any time in which you offered a suggestion and they're like, let's see what we can do with that? Did you feel comfortable?
I don't remember that situation, but I do know that I was booked for 6 episodes. So I think that, in seeing how well Ginn and Eli got along, they felt comfortable. I sometimes feel like when I book a recurring on a show, it's like even Supernatural, it was just 2 episodes and then I was gone. It's like, it's just a little test. They're just like, okay, how does she work? Like if it's 2 episodes and she's a hell to work with, we'll never see her again. Right. It's cool. But if it was like, she shows up, she does her work well, she gets along with everyone. I think a lot of the times it's just like a way to kind of test out, because you never know what you're going to get.
And also, is the character interesting?
Right. And
plays
how
off
is it
against the others?
Exactly. How is that going? And is there a way to have her come back later? And, I think that it because we worked really well together and they found a way to move the story along, bringing me back, that I was brought back. But I can promise you, if they didn't like me, they would not have brought me back. Like that. There's definitely, those instances where you're like, where'd that character go? And they're like, oh, yeah.
Christopher Judge, I worked with Christopher Judge on another interview series called Dialing Home. And he would talk about situations where there would be actors who would approach the crew or the creators and say, or their agent would and say, can we get a multi-episode deal? And they're like, how about no? And no, you're not coming back. So it's like, you had to be careful how you approach that. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Scotty 0709. Any funny David Blue stories? Anything memorable with David? we haven't had any David Blue real anecdotes yet, and I'm hoping you can give us one or two.
Gosh. Well, from working with, I know him a lot more now than I did then, right? So when was this? 2011? 7, 9,
8, 9, 10, around there,
something like that. It's a while ago. He's always really fun to work with. He's one of my most authentic scene partners ever. I love, even now, doing, reading with him, having him help me with an audition or whatnot. He always makes it better. He's a wonderful actor and a really good friend. I before the quarantine, we've written a couple pilots together. So there would be days and days and days. I'd show up at 11 in the morning. I'd stay till dinner time, go home, be with my family. That was like my work day. We would work all day. There's tons of David Blue stories, but of course I can't think of one particular one. I can tell you one of my first memories of one of like the first jokes he said that was like super cheesy dad joke. and it was, God, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to say it right.
Okay.
Oh, what do you call a fish with no eye? With no eyes. What do you call a fish?
I have no clue. Oh, gosh.
I don't think I did it right. He'd be like, Julie, it's this way. No, I don't know. But yeah, I feel like he's always got a dad joke ready. But yeah, he's great to work with. He's a wonderful friend of mine. So
I remember going to San Diego Comic-Con before their premiere of season 2, and the actors were always booked at the Hotel Solomar, which is in the Gaslamp district. And when I was attached to MGM for that project for a number of different things, and David and the cast came in, and he saw me. He knew who I was at that point. He saw me. I stood up to shake his hand. So this is at season 2, so we've already known each other for a year at this point. He said, "Put that hand back. We're on hugging territory now." And I was like, he is one of the most authentic and genuine people that because with actors, you run the whole gamut. And so intelligent and thoughtful.
Yeah, he is. Which makes him a great partner in acting, but also in the way we work together writing wise. We don't think the same, so it's great. I can come in with these thoughts, and then he'll come in with these thoughts, and together we're like, oh, that's cool. Like, that made something really cool.
As long as you trust each other's instincts. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I think one thing I love when I work with him is how something that you think would be like this crazy idea, or like, I don't know how this is going to work, and then it will bounce off. He'll throw something that bounces that off, and then it will create something totally new that never would have happened had either of you not trusted that you could just say something really stupid. Like, well, this isn't going to work, but maybe it will lead us somewhere, And so, when you have that trust with a writing partner or a scene partner or whatever it is, it's that's where the fun is. Creating.
Last question for you.
Sure.
Akos Thomas Navaki. If you could swap bodies for an hour with someone on Earth, from the Stargate universe or in real life, who would you choose?
Gosh. Oh gosh, I have no idea. Who would I choose? I mean, one of them who could fly so that I could fly. I guess Supergirl. There you go. There's my answer. I don't know if that really counts, but that's what I'm saying.
It wasn't boring. I was like, oh, that's clever.
There we go.
Julie, it's been wonderful having you back. It really means a lot to me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
The experience from a month and a half ago of working in playing the game, the role playing game. Oops. Any takeaways from that now that you've had that time to reflect on it? So everyone had so much fun.
It was really fun, and I think I'd be better doing it again. Like, I think that was like, okay, I'm kind of getting the idea of this, and I think it would be more fun, the more you feel more comfortable, say pretending to be this person in this moment, because I was nervous that I'm like, he's like, David was like, it's just acting, just act. It's like, but I don't know who we are, where we are, what was my childhood like, what were the traumas that happened?
What's my motivation?
Like, I it's hard. I was like, how am I supposed to know what to say? And so obviously it doesn't have to be that serious. Yeah, I think another round I would feel more comfortable for sure.
You know what? I definitely think that one is in the works in the next few months here. So I'll definitely be hitting you up.
Sounds good.
So, thank you so much again. And,
thank you.
Best success to you in your future works. Let's just get through this situation and, see each other out the other side of it.
Exactly. So. It's all temporary. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you all to the fans who have asked questions and watched and supported. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
We'll have you. We'll be in touch really soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. You're good to disconnect. You're good. Thanks so much for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Julie McNiven, Ginn, everyone. Thank you so much to Julie for joining us for another episode. She was originally in the Stargate role-playing game test that we did in October. So if you scroll down through our archive, or if you type Stargate SG-1 roleplay test, you will find that you know what? I will link to it. I'll link to it. No need to make you dig. If you want to find it, I will put a link underneath this program. I do have a question for me. John 42, are you or Gateworld going to establish a parlor handle? I can't speak to Darren, but all I know is that I can barely keep up with the content on the social media that I have right now, so I don't have any expectations currently to add another one to the mix. So that is what I can say about that. I do have artwork for you by Razor7256. This is a drawing of Ginn and Eli. A quick sketch that I did, says Razor7256, and an idea I really can't wait to finish. I've been really caught up with school and everything, but almost there. So apparently this was a work in progress, but this is a piece from, I believe, 2011. So I think this is the final version that exists. So extremely cool. Before I wrap things down, or wind things down, I should say, it's time to announce our guests for next week. Jay Acavone. All three of these are currently scheduled for Sunday, December the 6th. Jay Acavone, Major Charles Kowalski. We'll be bringing him back from the dead. Talk about a guy who would never die. Jay is going to be joining us Sunday, December the 6th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Then at 1 p.m., Darren Sumner and moderator Ian will be joining us for episode 2 of Stargate Trivia. We had a little bit of Stargate Trivia in the episode 1, our premiere, but I consider this to be technically the second round. So we're going to be kind of throwing ourselves off balance a little bit by bringing a third into the mix. Ian, our moderator, has graciously agreed to join us, so thank you, Ian. So that's going to be an interesting time. On this episode in particular, instead of asking questions for the guests, I'm going to be inviting the YouTube live streaming audience to submit Stargate questions for us to answer. So Darren, Ian, and myself, we will have questions for each other, and we're going to create a system where we can, parlay the questions at one another each, and then get a total, and then the tiebreakers for the questions will be Stargate questions, hopefully hard ones, from the live YouTube live chat. So Summer will be taking your questions in the live chat, and she will be kind of omnipresently, she'll be giving those questions to us. So the three of us we'll find out who the winner is with Stargate Trivia from your questions. So be thinking of some questions for us if you're planning on joining us for that episode, because those are the ones that are going to be asked to break any tie that may exist, and we'll wrap up the trivia challenge. Then, closing us out on Sunday, December the 6th at 3 p.m. Pacific time. You asked for him. We've got him. David Nickel, Radek Zelenka from Stargate Atlantis will be joining us at 3 p.m. Pacific. Those are the guest announcements that I have for you. I hope that you've enjoyed the program and are interested in sharing it with a fellow Stargate fan. So before I let you go, if you like what you've seen in this episode, I would really appreciate it if you click that like button. It makes a difference with YouTube's algorithm and will definitely help the show grow its audience. Please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend. And if you want to get notified about future episodes, click the subscribe icon. If you plan to watch live, I recommend giving the bell icon a click so you'll be the first to know of any schedule changes, which will possibly happen all the time. And bear in mind, clips from this live stream will be eventually released over the course of the next several days and weeks on the Dial the Gate and GateWorld.net YouTube channels. That's all that I have for you in this episode. Up next, we have the talented, the wonderful Miss Rachel Luttrell. And she's going to be giving us her insight on Taylor Imogen and her journey with that character in Stargate Atlantis. My name is David Reed. Thanks so much for joining us. I'll see you around on the other side.